Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fandom Show. I'm very excited about today's episode because we're talking about one of the most popular video game consoles of all time, the Nintendo Game Boy. Such an awesome system. The story of the Game Boy begins with a designer at Nintendo by the name of Gunpei Yokoi. In the 1980s, Yokoi designed a series of portable gaming systems known as Game & Watch, and they look like this. Technology sure has changed, hasn't it? If that design reminded you a little bit of the Nintendo DS, it should. That was what Nintendo used as the basis for the design of the DS, more than 20 years after the Game & Watch was originally released. In the late 1980s, Nintendo tasked Yokoi with developing a new portable game system. Yokoi's idea was pretty simple. He wanted to create a portable version of the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Game & Watch games, while fun, didn't have swappable cartridges. Every unit was limited to one game. Yokoi wanted to fix this and create a portable game system with a color backlit screen that had swappable cartridges. Again, basically a portable Nintendo Entertainment System. Despite his massive success with the Game Boy, Yokoi was also the driving force behind the colossal failure known as the Virtual Boy. Yokoi and his engineers quickly got to work at developing some prototypes, but before long discovered that their vision for a full-color backlit screen portable version of the Nintendo Entertainment System was just not feasible with the technology of the time. While such a system could be realized, it would be far too expensive and have far too poor battery life to satisfy the average gamer. So, they ditched the prototypes and restarted from scratch, this time aiming for something that was much more economical. In fact, most of the original complaints about the Game Boy, its small screen, its odd shape, these are things that came out of the need to cut down the cost and develop a system that would last long enough on batteries to make it a true portable system. The Atari Lynx was an early competitor to the Game Boy, but it got barely 3 hours battery life and cost over twice as much as a Nintendo system. After a period of several prototypes and much trial and error, the Game Boy was officially introduced to the world in the spring of 1989. And it went on to become one of the most successful video game consoles ever released. Here are a few of my personal favorite Game Boy games. So, a moment ago I was talking about how successful the Game Boy got. How successful did it get? Well, here are a few amazing fast facts about the Game Boy. Now, anyone who knew me when I was a kid knows that I loved my Nintendo and my Super Nintendo, but I always had a particular soft spot for my Game Boy. Fun fact, this is actually my original Game Boy that was given to me by my parents all the way back in 1990. Yes, indeed, I've held on to this thing near and dear to my heart for almost 30 years now, and here's something else. Nintendo is well known for making their products last. Yes, indeed, this thing still works. I have many fond memories of being at my grandparents' house, my aunt's house, my brother's hockey practices, wherever, with this thing in my hands, playing my little heart out, including many of those games that I showed you just a few minutes ago when I was talking about my favorite games. The Game Boy, for that reason, always had a very special place in my heart. I love the Game Boy Advance, I love the Nintendo DS, I love my Switch, but there's something about the Game Boy that is just so special to me and so unique. Now, as far as the Game Boy goes, it had a lot of accessories. Your usual link cables, headphones, battery packs, that kind of thing. I actually happen to have one of those accessories here, and this was the Game Boy battery pack. One of them, anyway. Now, what this thing did, you might remember a moment ago I just said the Game Boy took 4 AA batteries. If you didn't want to use the batteries, what you could do is you could plug a power cable into this connection here, and it would charge this bad boy up. Then you could unplug the power cable, take this doohickey here, plunk it into the side of the Game Boy like so, and you've got portable power to last yourself for quite a while. Pretty cool for the time. And It even has a handy belt clip on the back, so you can clip it on your belt while you took the Game Boy with you. Kind of crazy to think that we now have cell phones that are smaller than this, where only a small piece of that cell phone is the battery, but this whole giant thing is a battery pack. Technology has indeed come a long way. Other Game Boy accessories include, if you can believe it, a camera, a printer, and if you're curious about those, I encourage you to do YouTube search for either Game Boy camera or Game Boy printer. They are very neat accessories that can do some pretty wild stuff. I actually wish I had some with me. I don't, but do check out those other videos because they are definitely worthwhile. Another accessory for the Game Boy, you might have heard me say earlier that it didn't come with a backlit screen. So how do you play the Game Boy at night? Not to worry, third-party companies had you covered. There were actually a number of light accessories that were released for the Game Boy, including this one. This poster isn't retro at all. As you may or may not have guessed, I actually used to own that one. It helped me many a night when I wanted to play my Game Boy, but the room was just too dark. Here's the kicker. You couldn't tell by looking at it, but that light actually took 4 AA batteries all on its own. So, if I wanted to play my Game Boy with the light, I had to depend on 8 AA batteries to not conk out on me, and very often, they did. Needless to say, my parents decided to invest in these bad boys. The legacy of the Game Boy is all over the place. We saw it in Nintendo's future consoles, in the Game Boy Advance SP, the Nintendo DS, and we even see it in Nintendo's current system, the Nintendo Switch. The Game Boy, in fact, was one of the few video game consoles for which new games were released in parts of 3 different decades. It's unlikely any system will ever accomplish that again. Furthermore, all of those tablets and smartphones and portable gadgets we love to play around with these days owe a debt of gratitude to the Nintendo Game Boy. That's all for this time. Thanks for watching.